and get started. I don't want to delay. We have quite a bit to go over today. First things first, we're actually going to start out with a poll, just so I can kind of gauge where everyone's at as far as Foresight AI. So with that, just based on your knowledge right now, I'd like to know what you're most interested in learning about today as far as Foresight AI. That way I can ensure that I'm spending the right amount of time on some, on the topics that you're most interested in. So as far as what you're most interested in, we have solving for overstock, solving stockouts, saving time reordering, saving time in guesswork, everything or unsure. Please participate if possible. That way I can have a good base on where you want me to be showing you today, because really you're in the driver's seat as far as what you want me to go over. So just want to ensure that we're doing that. Awesome. Looks like quite a few of us on saving time reordering and everything. Don't worry, we'll definitely cover everything, but if you didn't have anything specific, that was kind of the answer that you could pick. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll there. Thank you so much for participating. And we will have a couple more of those throughout the webinar. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Zoe. I'm an account manager here at Cin7. Been here about 2 years, but most recently have been focused on Foresight AI. So don't worry, you're in really good hands. As we go throughout the presentation and the webinar and demo today, please make sure you're utilizing the Q&A function. I know hand raise is an option, but please, if you can put it in Q&A, as I'm going throughout the presentation, I will get to them at the end. I may be able to get to them throughout the presentation. I'll try to glance if it's applicable for that current module that I'm on. So just wanted to call that out. First things first, though, what is Foresight AI? So Foresight AI is a sales and inventory forecasting tool used to help you know what to order, when to order, and how much you should be ordering. So Foresight AI is designed to take out the guesswork of your inventory management to give you back time in reordering, as well as capital and stock out and overstock amounts. Foresight AI can also help make crucial business decisions in what products are performing well, allowing you to dig deeper into your business strategy to become more efficient and successful. With that, let's go ahead and hop into the demo. So you may or may not have seen this on your account. Just as a quick asterisk, this will show up if you have been with Cin7 for longer than 6 months. Foresight AI needs ideally 6 months, or at least 6 months, ideally 2 years worth of data in order to start accurately creating a forecast. So if you do not see this, not necessarily something to worry about. I can manually get that added to your account, but we do need some more data so that the tool is actually useful. You'll notice that this has this awesome purple AI branding, and it also will show you your last sync date. Mine is a Q&A demo environment, so mine does manually, we do have to manually sync it. Yours likely will probably be updating a little bit quicker than mine. So as far as this inventory health, this is going to give you that big snapshot of what Foresight AI is trying to solve for. So essentially what your inventory health looks like. So first we have our stockouts. And this is, the percentage of items that obviously we don't have in stock, and directly related to that, we have this lost revenue to stock out. So because we have about 5% of items stocked out, this is going to give us a monthly number on lost revenue, which is pretty large. And then directly or opposite to that, we have our overstock value. So this is going to be not necessarily dead stock, but items that we have overstocked based on Foresight AI sales forecast and the safety stock calculated for you. Clicking Explore is going to show us our product availability report. So really what items are overstocked, stocked out, and what is stocked regularly. So we have these new columns, purple stock indicators. So whether or not it's a stock out or an overstock, if there's nothing, it's going to be something that's stocked out correct, or it's stocked correctly, give or take. And then we also have our winners, which I'll get to in a little bit, but winners are going to be your high performers. So a pro tip, as you're getting started using Foresight AI, highly recommended that you focus on your winners that are stocked out. These are the items that are making you money and you're therefore missing out on revenue. So you have cash flow constraints. This is going to be probably an immediate priority you should probably be kind of thinking about, because this is going to be an easy win, right? These are items that you are going to sell and they are going to be making you profit. Just kind of as a note, core reporting is a little bit static to me. So if you wanted to, I would recommend downloading the report and then filtering it by winners and stockouts to best target what you should be focusing on. And with that, we'll go back to our main dashboard. So if you have more than 6 months worth of data for us, or if you've been with us for 6 months, you'll only be able to see this. Anything else I'm going to show you is going to be available once you subscribe to the module. So next we have our over and under stock. And this is going to break down even further what category a specific SKU falls into, basically breaking down further that product availability report in case you wanted to get anything specific. And it's also going to be broken down by location. So you can see what location you want here, as well as the over and under stock amounts. So, couple facts I'm going to hit you with. Did you know that excess inventory can tie up 20 to 40% of revenue for businesses, hampering your cash flow? That makes sense, right? Because if we're thinking about having that stock just sitting around on maybe your warehouse floor, on stock shelves, that's not making you money if it's just sitting there. So let's think about optimizing that value, maybe ordering less, maybe ordering through, the stock that you already have, not ordering anymore, and free up some of that capital for you. Second, did you know that overstock can prompt discounts of up to 50% or more, hurting profit margins? As we're thinking about selling through that stock, there may be a time where you need to sell through it quick enough. Maybe you have expiration dates and thus you need to sell it quickly. Therefore, you have to offer those discounts. That's going to hugely cut into those profit margins of what you originally purchased those items for, maybe cutting even or even having to sell at a loss. And that's something we definitely don't want you to do. So as we're thinking about this overstock and understock, ForesightAI is really going to try to solve for that overstock problem for you so you don't have to get to that point. Next, did you know that average US retailers have only 63% inventory accuracy, mainly caused by human error? I want you to think about your inventory accuracy right now and your accuracy being marked by your stockouts in your overstock items, right? How accurate are you? And I know that if you're thinking about, well, I've got some extra, I'm dealing with some stockouts right now, you kind of can fall into that 63% pretty easily. And this is what Foresight AI is going to take care of that for you. You're no longer having to live in that Excel land, either that time reordering or maybe the headache and the gut checks that you're doing to find that number to reorder. So this overstock, understock reporting can help prioritize what products to focus on for maximum efficiency. So feel free to click on each section for a report on the category. Next, we have our winners and our losers. Again, we're getting a little bit more granular in a separate way of our data offerings to you. Again, no more filing through Excel and creating pivot tables. This information is readily available and dynamic. Make sure you think about that, and dynamic. It's constantly changing with the micro adjustments from your real-time sales and AI. So thinking about right now, how often are you looking at your winners and your losers? Is that something that you're calculating daily, weekly, monthly, etc.? And then also, what are you using as your standard to filter what those winners and losers actually mean to you? So each category is going to give you a snapshot of your overall stock value and share that share of the category across the business. So why does this matter? You can now easily and quickly identify which products are driving growth and which ones are going to be holding you back. This will help you optimize the inventory level of winners to maximize your revenue and eliminate lost sales from stockouts. Right. So as I said earlier in that product availability, the low-hanging fruit, easy wins are going to be focusing on the winners that are out of stock. Directly opposite to that, the overstock that you have are losers. Probably time to start thinking about what you want to do with that. Now that brings us actually to a great pause for a poll. And the poll right now is going to be thinking about everything I just offered for you, that we can get granular with your data with the winners and losers. How confident are you today in your winners and losers within Cin7? Are you 1, not confident, on a scale of 5, very confident? Couple folks, generally speaking, it is a bell curve in the middle with 3. Do have a couple 5s, do have a couple 1s, 2s and 4s as well, but mostly 3s. If you're 4 or 5, that is awesome. Hopefully, at least this is a time save for you if you do decide to move forward with the software. If this is something totally new to you, not to worry. Definitely really cool to check out and see what your winners and your losers are, depending on, as I'll go through later, where the settings are, depending on what settings you set up, what you want your winners and losers to be. I'm going to end the poll right there and thank you for participating. Last on this dashboard, so we've gone through inventory health, over and under stock winners and losers, is we have this stock trends graph. I personally really like it because it's more visual, but this is going to match up really with this inventory health, but where this is giving you that snapshot with that AI real-time data, this is going to show you those stock trends over time. So we have our stock outs. It looks like it climbed around the 13th and then it's been steady. Matching a little bit is that lost revenue stockouts, which right makes sense since those numbers are pretty tied together, slowly creeping up over time, and our overstock value is also creeping up over time. So I might need to dial in my reordering a little bit as far as, well, I'll show you in a minute, using our smart reorder and start really looking at maybe, okay, let's look at this overstock and our stock out report. Let's take a look at maybe what is causing this drive up. And then let's toggle it so that we can plan in the future with our reordering to maybe drive these back down closer to zero. Because as we drive this lost revenue down to zero and this overstock down to zero, that's going to bring that money right into our pocket, right? Freeing up that capital for maybe more business decisions or more business decisions, maybe fill it up for like a marketing campaign, but essentially free up capital for other stuff. And with that, we will actually jump into another poll. So thinking about the 4 features that I've shown you on this dashboard, what so far seems most useful to you? So far we've gone over that snapshot of our inventory health. We have our over and under stock reporting. We have our winners and losers insights, and then we have our stock trend graph. So I'll give you a couple seconds to fill in your answer. And just know that not necessarily a test, but this is a good summary of what we've gone over so far. Think about your favorite, but also know that all are available to you. And it's so fun I've done a few webinars and it's interesting to see what every group finds most interesting. Looks like the stock trends graph as well as winners and loser insights are the ones that are most useful. Awesome. Thank you so much for participating. All right. So with that, we just went over the insights, the new insights, I guess, available to you to show the health of your inventory. Now, how do we fix it? So like I said, ForesightAI is designed to fix a very big problem: what to order, when to order, and how much. This is where Smart Reorder is going to come in. And I went to purchases, and then I can go down to Smart Reorder with this new purple branding. And this is where a Smart Reorder comes into the picture. So taking a step back, Foresight AI is using your sales order history data, AI, and a bunch of algorithms to calculate your reorder quantity. Not only that, it's relying on your purchase order periods and your lead times to help with when to order, right? If we're thinking about your purchase order period being how frequently you order, your lead times, how long it takes from when you submit a purchase order to getting it in your inventory, that's going to also dictate, right, your reorder quantities as well as timing. If you have really long purchase order periods and lead times, you're probably going to be ordering less frequently, but more at a time. Directly opposite to that, if you have short purchase order periods and short lead times, you're ordering more frequently, so you don't have to order quite as much at a time. So those are really important, and I'll show you how to set those up or toggle with those in a little bit. So here are some of the ways you want to view this page. So period is going to be what orders you want to see as far as your suggestions. So do I want to see the suggestions of ordering for today, or do I want to see the suggestions for the next 1 to 7 days? Or next week would be the next 7 to 14 days if I'm planning out in the future, this month, next month, or I can create a custom date range. Then I also have my reorder type. So this is going to be this is going to be really what the stock movement is happening. I say that because yes, as purchase, this is going to cover a very simple purchase order. I am ordering from a supplier and I am getting it into my stock. However, you can also see movement internally from a transfer. So let's say you need to move from your intake warehouse to a store. That would cover a transfer. And then it actually also covers assembly jobs to a certain extent, in that it does tell you, it gives you a suggestion of how many assemblies or purchase orders you should be completing in what warehouse at a time in order to match the sales forecast that Foresight AI is coming up with. So if you use production jobs, this is something that is covered as well. So you can think of it as a purchase order might be raw goods from the supplier into your warehouse A, or maybe your intake warehouse. And then you'll see a transfer from your intake warehouse to your production warehouse. Then you'll see an assembly job for those raw materials to become a finished good. I will say there is an asterisk in that the assembly jobs are just a suggestion and mostly just a time and how much suggestion. All production jobs and the single source of truth still should live in your production module. As I was saying, an assembly may take place in that warehouse, and then you may have a transfer then of the final good into your store. So that's kind of how that movement would look. And I did it for a production job, but it may be just as simple as, you have a supplier purchase that goes to your warehouse that gets transferred first to a store. Or maybe it really is just purchase orders into a store. It really is going to follow whatever workflow you already have in place, because again, it's going off of that sales order history and the transfers that you already have. Next, we have supplier, and this is going to filter all of those replenishment suggestions by what supplier, in case you want to see essentially all of the suggestions by a supplier at a time. That would probably go on a purchase order, or destination location, where the ultimate purchase order SKUs are going to end up. So in this case, I'm going to look at all of my just basic purchase orders for this week. All I had to do was click generate suggestions. Thinking about your reordering process right now, this is very simple, very, very, very much a time saver. So this could be a huge resource for you if you are currently spending a lot of time calculating your reordering, as well as maybe not necessarily getting it right, thinking about that 63% inventory accuracy number that you may fall into right now. No shame, just saying. So as far as our suggestions, it's going to tell us the location, so where it's going to, supplier, where it's coming from, the supplier SKU, the product, the suggested reorder date, the unit of measure, available at, how many are currently available in your stock at this location. Something to note, this is a location by location. So you may see a product, maybe similarly, maybe right below it, not in this case, but let's say we do see the number right below. We're going to want to really look at the location that it's suggesting. In this case, these are both location 3, but this could also be like same product, same supplier, but location 3 and location 4. So where that end product is ultimately going to be. How many are currently on order? If you have those really long purchase order periods and lead times, minimum order quantity, you can set that if you have maybe a deal with your supplier and you have a minimum order you like to order at a time. Reorder quantity. So I can actually click into this because this is going to be where human meets that AI element. So this is where you can actually override the suggestion that ForesightAI is coming up with you or is telling you to order. There may be times if you currently have a stock out problem, you maybe have cash flow constraints that's not going to allow you to actually reorder the quantity that you can. Similarly, maybe you're sunsetting an item and it's okay that it's stocking out. Maybe you just want a couple in stock, for whatever purposes. This is where you can edit that number. And then we also have price per item. As far as reordering, it's really simple. I can click this to really create a purchase order for all of these, or I can spot which ones I'd like to reorder. All I have to do is click this reorder button. It'll then create a draft PO that you'll need to go in, approve, and authorize. So very simple as far as the workflow for the items. If you do have any questions about this, feel free to throw it in the Q&A. I am going to move on from here. But as far as your day-to-day, you're probably going to be using the smart reorder the most. And then, because that's actually going to get you to, that inventory optimization. And then as far as the dashboard, this is going to give you a lot of data to empower you to make better business decisions on where you should be focusing on. Last thing I want to go over is the reports. And new ForesightAI reports are going to be available to you in purple. And these are going to be available to you by clicking through the forecast, through the dashboard that I showed you. A lot of those numbers are links to these reports, but this is going to give you an overall sales forecast, overstock report, stock out report, and your winners and losers report. Here's just a shortcut to access the reporting, though, if you don't want to click through. Pro tip though, due to some constraints within reporting within Core, like I spoke about earlier, I would recommend downloading the winners and losers report into Excel to get better access and organization of the information. Currently, it's in alphabetical order and doesn't allow for grouping. So the information is there. It's just not as easily laid out as we would like it to be. For example, it'll say chasers, losers, then winners, and then it'll go by warehouse rather than what the item is or how much of a winner and a loser it is. So this is feedback that we've gotten. Pro tip, because you've attended the webinar, you know how to deal with this now. But just wanted to let you know that that's how I would recommend personally using it. But yes, this is something that we are currently working on. Hopefully getting that information viewed a little bit better. So as I was saying a little bit earlier, this is going to be your day-to-day. However, what do you do with some fine-tuning, either now or in the future? For example, if you have labor as a SKU, you want to hide a SKU from replenishment. What about SKUs that you're sunsetting? What about new items? You can find this all under the Forecasting and Settings tab under Smart Reorder. So we have the Smart Reorder page, but on this far right-hand side, we have the Forecast and Settings. Now, if you've been following the ForesightAI journey, you may have seen this page before. ForesightAI is not necessarily new, but a reiteration of Inventoro, which Cin7 acquired back in July. So a lot of this information here is available to you in Core as the modules and sections we went over. However, this may give you the information a bit differently, so feel free to poke around here as you get more acquainted with your account. This is going to give you that sales forecast more visually. Again, I said I'm a visual learner, so I like it here. And you can also apply filters here, meaning this is going to give me my entire sales forecast, green being previous sales orders, and then to the right of today, obviously being the future state. But I can actually focus on what warehouses I want to look at, as well as suppliers. So location number 3. We'll see how the graph can change. It's not changing because I'm in a demo account. Perfect. Okay, but this one changed a little bit. So I have my finished goods category. You can see how it would change. Yours will probably change a little bit more than mine with my dummy data. But you can see how it changed really quickly. Couple of things to point out on this page is this forecast adjustment. So like I said, a lot of the ForesightAI algorithm is based on algorithms, sales order history and AI, but the computer doesn't know a future state it doesn't know. It does have a general understanding of your year over year, month over month growth, and it is tracking that. Hence why I said it needs about 2 years worth of data. However, there are some big events in the future that the computer can't account for, such as pairing with a new distributor, a marketing campaign, anything along those lines. So a change in percentage is going to be like a sharp incline or decline in sales. This would be a good marketing campaign example. You're going to see a sharp incline, and then maybe it'll stabilize or maybe it'll drop down to normal sales. Trend in percentage is going to be something a little bit more longer term, and a little bit more gradual. So that would be something like pairing with a new distributor, opening up a new store. And then we can also get very granular with like a change in quantity. And then there's a bunch of actual filters that you can use. So you can really filter to a very specific group that you would like to apply this change in percentage to. This is what the adjustments look like. And we have all 3 available. We have the value of what it looks like. We have a date when it starts and when it ends. And then we also have these notes, which I really like. So this is going to be highly helpful when you're trying to keep track of what each adjustment was for. So just wanted to call that out. You can also see your winners and losers here in a similar way where you can filter down to warehouse, supplier, category, and product. As you're getting started, I talked about those winners and losers. And as you're thinking about your winners and losers, what do you categorize them by? You can actually change the product segmentation here of what you want that strategy to be. Mine is on profit, but you can change yours to revenue, sales frequency, or sales quantity, depending on your type of business. So this is something, though, I'd recommend setting and forgetting, so not changing these too frequently, because you can see the cascade of, well, if it impacts my winners and losers, it's also going to impact my strategy of my overstock and my understock. So generally speaking, try not to change this too often. Also have those same 4 reports available here. Um, let's see, we also have suppliers. This should be set up for you and synced over from your core instance, but something to just, I would say, double check just in case. You can set that minimum order dollar amount here as well if you don't already have that. Warehouses, again, this is something to just double check. It will probably be correct, but just like I said, double check. So we have it's in a warehouse hierarchy. Make sure the visible ones that you're currently using are visible. Ones that you're not using, feel free to unclick. If you have a production warehouse, please designate it because that helps the computer understand where it wants those production jobs to take place. And it does go in a hierarchical system. So if we're thinking about a waterfall and cascading of goods, first, they go to location 3, which feeds to 2, which feeds to then 16, 17, and 15 equally, but 15 also feeds to 8 and 7. So flowing goods. Last thing, I want to make sure we have time for questions. Again, please feel free to throw some Q&A in if you're ready for that. We have the edit arena. So this is going to be that fine tuning that I was talking about on that SKU level. So we are going to see our product and we have our supplier. Please note again, because it's by warehouse, it's going to show us 2 different warehouses. So we can make rules depending on what warehouse it lives in. We have our parent warehouse, so we can see that location 2 has a parent warehouse from 3. So we know that location 2 comes from location 3. Here's where you can set a minimum order quantity if you have a deal with your suppliers. You can also set packing here, how many come in a package. We also have orderability and visibility. So orderability is going to be, do I want it to show up in my smart reorder? A case where you wouldn't want that might be labor, or it could be like custom furniture, right? Things that I'm not necessarily going to want to have on hand or I want to order, but I still might want to see a forecast for them, or I want to see them in my winners or my losers. Labor is probably not a great example because actually that might fall more under visibility for some folks. Visibility is it's not in my smart reorder, but it's out of my entire forecast in winners and losers in general. So you probably don't necessarily need to track labor if you have it as a SKU. Other visibility might be items that you're wanting to take out and sunset, not necessarily useful anymore. Sometimes that might be orderable though, if you do want to see if there's, a winner or a loser. Also, something you might want to hide if you are a production and you use water, that might not be something that you want to necessarily track. When the item was created, and then I haven't gone over it necessarily explicitly, but with this forecast, we have on blue is going to be, dark blue is going to be our sales forecast and light purple is going to be our safety stock. Safety stock is going to be dynamic and not something that ForesightAI is going to, or ForesightAI is going to calculate. So you're not going to have maybe that reorder quantity be the same or different, or the holding stock be the same all the time and reorder based on that. You're actually reordering based on that sales order history or sales forecast and moving forward. However, if you do want to have something a little bit more static, you can feel free to change a minimum and maximum inventory here. We also have expiration in days. This isn't necessarily going to be something that is going to track batch movements or batch stock. That's something that's still going to be tracked in core, but expiration days you can give if like in an actual day amount, so 14 days, roughly 2 weeks, and that will help ForesightAI manage your inventory as well. We also have purchase period and lead times. Purchase period, again, being how frequently you order, lead time, how long it takes you to get the items. I showed you how to do it on a supplier level, and that's something that's already built in through core. But if you have one-off SKUs that are the exception to the rule, you can set that here. Volume, weight, predecessor. I see a question in the chat about this. What about superseded SKUs? Does the new SKU adopt the usage of the old SKU? It can, using this predecessor feature. So you can link an older item to a newer item, and then it'll immediately it'll use that sales order history to create a forecast. And then as you actually start having new sales, it'll use that AI and micro adjustments to create a new forecast. Last is replenishment recommendations. Automatic is going to use all of the factors in ForesightAI Replenishment using sales forecast is going to use sales forecast as a little bit more weighted of a factor. Replenishment using minimum inventory is going to be if you set a minimum inventory, once you go below that, it'll trigger a replenishment. And then replenishment using custom orders, that's going to be an order will only come in when a customer places an order. That is replenished by if you want to set that as a redistribution or a supplier. Awesome. That's all of the edit arena settings. And although we're back to the beginning with Foresight AI, we'll go ahead and click just to get ready for any Q&A that we may have. And it's loading. There we go. Okay. Cool. With that, though, I like this screen because it does give you kind of, you know, if you're a numbers person, this might be useful. But if there's anything, as we're wrapping up, if there's anything I can leave you with, let me leave you with this. Foresight AI's advanced forecasting empowers businesses with affordable, intuitive tools to unlock efficiency, free up inventory capital, and never miss a sale. So if you like the information we went over today, please feel free to take advantage of our Foresight AI new sign-up offer. For the first 300 participants, we're giving away 6 months, 50% off. That is already calculated in your core account. So you can go ahead and if you'd like to sign up for Foresight AI under your subscription tab in core. Also with that is we have free onboarding. That's only available for a limited time if you sign up as part of this first 300 cohort. Super, super helpful and useful as you're fine-tuning that account and want to know a little bit more of the ins and outs in detail rather than this overview we went over today. Please feel free to stick around and ask any questions in the Q&A. We are going to be sending out a copy of this recording in a follow-up email. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining and have a wonderful rest of your day. Now we will go ahead and get to some questions. So lead times, can Foresight AI use recent history to come up with this, or do we have to put this in for supplier SKU? This is something that is carried over from your current instance of core. So it is looking at your purchase order history, and it is able to calculate that. So that's why I recommend under forecast and settings. This is a bilateral sync, so you can update it here and it will update in core. But if we go to our suppliers, this is going to sync over from core, but I highly recommend looking over this again, just to make sure that this matches about what your reordering looks like. All righty, next question. Can you go over production jobs again? No problem. So if we go into our smart reorder, and I'll show you what this looks like. So for example, this week, and I want to see my assembly jobs. Assembly is going to cover assembly and purchase orders. If I generate suggestions, this is going to show me essentially what I need to create. So the project is going to be that finished good. And then it's going to tell me about how many I need to create and when I need to start that order in order for it to finish on time for the to match the sales forecast. So the Foresight AI technology is really generating that sales forecast and then working backwards to ensure that the goods are there on time. So if you have a really simple purchase model where you purchase goods from your supplier, it goes into a warehouse and you move it to a store, it's going to be a shorter time in order to forward plan. If you are using production, it is taking into account all of that time that takes. So your initial purchase order or purchases and POs are going to need to go out a lot sooner in order to essentially like account for all of the production that needs to happen, transferring that needs to happen, etc. So you can really think that smart or Foresight AI is a lot more of a proactive tool than potentially your reactive ordering right now. It's giving you that sales forecast really, really high in advance. Therefore, it is giving you that sales forecast very far in advance and then matching your inventory to that sales forecast, as well as making those micro adjustments along the way if you are missing that sales forecast either higher or lower, and helping you adjust an order so that you're not having those stockouts in your overstock. I have talked to a lot of folks who are currently, gut checking how they order using Excel off of the last maybe 3 months. Or sorry, their sales from the last 3 months, looking at Excel and looking at their current stock and either having a minimum stock that they just like to have on hand and or just guessing what's going to happen in the future, maybe based off of some previous history. I'm going to let you know that this is going to be really useful and time save for that, the headache save for that, as well as nailing down that actual right amount of what you should be ordering to free up that capital. Pricing page has disappeared. Pricing for this system is going to be in the system. So as you are adding it to your subscription, you don't have to necessarily commit before you see pricing. But because it's based on your annual turnover, there isn't necessarily a one size fits all for the pricing. It does fall into tiers. I will send out, as I send out a copy of this recording in a follow-up email, you can feel free to ask me what your pricing is and I can verify that for you. But I believe, or not I believe, Foresight AI does start at 149 USD a month with 6 months, 50% off. It goes to 75 USD a month for the first 6 months, plus that free onboarding. Next tier would be 299. Tier after that is 399 USD, and then I believe 699 USD. And then anything after that, I believe your turnover is over like 100 million. And then I can talk to you directly. Any more questions? Those were the ones that were in Q&A, but if anybody has any more, please feel free to add any more into the Q&A. I'll give you just a few seconds to add any last minute questions. Okay, cool. With that, I'll go ahead and end the webinar just a few minutes early. Like I said, I will be sending out this recording as a copy. Feel free to answer any questions that you may think of later just an email response to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. One more question, multiple suppliers on one product, which suppliers does it choose? Great question. Right now, Foresight AI does not support multiple suppliers for a product, so you would have to pick one. The reasoning for that is because it's trying to do that inventory optimization based on timing. So if you use suppliers with multiple times and maybe multiple prices, that's just an external factor that Foresight AI is not necessarily going to be using, and does just complicate that process. And if you do have a preferred supplier, that'll probably be what Foresight AI will use. Alrighty, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will send out a copy of this recording shortly. Have a great day. Bye-bye.